Hello, welcome back to Scotty Full Stack. I'm Scotty, and today we are going to be talking about a really important and mandatory skill for your DevOps portfolio with a platform and technology that I personally think is really, really cool. And that technology is GitHub Actions. So what is GitHub Actions? Coming from GitHub itself, you can automate, customize, and execute development workflows right from your repository. You can pretty much automate anything, and in this tutorial, we're going to emphasize the continuous integration piece of development and walk you through an entire project of how we're going to deliver code. So in this project, what we're going to do is quickly throw in some Python Falcon API code, just straight from their tutorial with tests included. We're going to start our GitHub Actions workflow, and in that, we're going to check out the code, build a Docker image, run the Docker image, test that code for functionality. We're going to scan it for vulnerabilities. Then we're going to upload those artifacts to our repository. And if all of that is successful, we are going to push that image to our dockerhub. And if it fails, we're going to open up an issue and not allow us to merge our develop branch into main. And the reason why this is important to us is because if we look at job descriptions like this one, they're really harping on CICD and configuration management, and there's a hint of security in there. And one of the key determiners of success for a DevOps team is deployment frequency and not allowing vulnerabilities to enter production. So let's just go ahead and get started. We're going to start here. You can pause the video. I've already created my repository and I've cloned it into VS Code. So do that now. You're going to want this set up, and it has to be public so that we can run the free GitHub Workflow agents. And then the link for this is going to be in the description, but this is the tutorial for the Python app. I'm only copying a little bit from this, and we're just going to plug it right into our project. Okay, so I am in the root of my project. I'm going to go ahead and make dir look. That is the name of the app that they've created for their tutorial. And inside of look, we are going to touch an init.py file. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we can go ahead and open a look./app.py. And this is going to be the primary app. Let's go ahead and copy that code over. So here, if I scroll down, there should be a finalized version of that just down the page right here. So this is our app.py file. Okay, I'm going to save that. And now we need the images resource. So we're going to go ahead and open look/images.py. And we'll come on back and we will copy the finalized image version, which has message pack in it. So I'm going to scroll on down the page and grab this. And of course, you can grab this from my repository. I just think this is helpful so you can see where I'm getting the code from. So that is image.py. And I want to go ahead and create my tests folder. So make dir tests. And then we are going to, inside of tests, open a test_app.py file. Okay, in here, we should have some test code. Here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that and bring it on back and save that. Okay, so that's all of the Python files that we need. Now let's go ahead and create a virtual environment. So virtual env, just calling mine env. All right, and so now we have our env folder, and let's go ahead and do source env activate fish, because I'm in the fish shell. You should activate your shell. So I have that. So pip install. We're going to do coverage, pytest, Gunicorn, Falcon, and I need the message pack right here, Python. Let's grab that. Come on back. Okay, so those are installed. Now we can do a pip freeze here to requirements.txt. Let's go ahead and open that just to make sure everything's there. And it looks pretty good to me. So let's save that. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a Docker file for our image. So code Docker file. All right, so from here, I'm going to do a from Python : and let's just grab like a specific version from the Python Docker. I'll put this in the description too. All of these links should be there in order. And I'm just going to scroll down. I'm going to grab Alpine, so 3.9 14. That's what I've been working with. Grab that, come on back, save it. All right, so let's go ahead and set up our workdir / code. We're going to copy everything from our directory here into that directory. Let's run a pip install -r requirements.txt. And then we're going to go ahead and kick this off. So cmd, let's do in quotes, unicorn, comma, and then a -b to bind it, comma, in quotes, 000 8000, comma, and then finally our look.app to call that app file. Okay, there's that. We can go ahead and expose 8000 as well. Okay, and that's it for our Docker file. That's all we really need. It's pretty, lightweight, so no issues there. Okay, and now we get to the fun part where we're going to create our GitHub workflow. So let's go ahead and make a file or a folder here. Make dir and .github. It's a hidden folder, and we're going to do a -p here because I want to create workflows inside of that as well. So GitHub workflows, and then code.github workflows, and this one is ci.yaml. So that's the file we're going to create in there. So all of these are done in YAML, so really similar to like Ansible or an AZDO pipeline, something easy like that. But we want to keep in mind tabbing structure, and we've done a lot of YAML in the past, so I don't suspect this will be an issue, but let's just keep that in mind as we approach this workflow. So let's go ahead and name the workflow something. So like name, and we can just call this Falcon CI, something like that. And then we're going to do an on, and for this I want to run this workflow whenever we create a pull request. Which reminds me, before we go any further, let's go ahead and check out a new branch. So GitHub, git checkout -b develop. Okay, so I'm now on my branch. I haven't added anything to main yet, so we should be fine there. But I'm going to go ahead and do that again. So name Falcon CI, and then we could do on like pull _ request. Okay. And then jobs, and we're going to name our job. This is going to be just a one and only name for now for this tutorial. So we're just going to call this like build, something like that. And then we can do for build runs on, and I'm just going to pick Ubuntu latest. And so what this is doing is we're just designating the container we want this workflow to run on through the GitHub Actions agent. And now we get to add our steps. So in these steps, we're going to have kind of a combination of some just running commands and using already official actions through GitHub Actions Marketplace. So I'll link everything that I do here in the description, but let's just kind of go through each one at a time. So first thing I want to do is check out our code that we just added into the repository, so we can actually come back to GitHub Actions. And here is the first one I'm going to be using is checkout. This is in the marketplace. It does a lot of stuff for us. It is official. We don't have to really worry about it. And it has a version of 3. So let's go ahead and start there. If I come back, so steps, and we're going to do first uses, because we're going to be referencing this GitHub action. So uses actions / checkout at v3, so we're using the GitHub Actions and the checkout at version 3, and then we can go ahead and start the remainder of the project. The next step that we're going to add is a caching for our Python dependencies, so that every single time that the flow runs, we don't have to keep installing the dependencies. Because really, you're going to see, we're going to be, when we build our image, it will obviously have to install those dependencies in the image to save us some time and resources to go ahead and just cache those on the first run. So all of that can be found back in GitHub Actions as well. And this happens to be for me for Python, setup Python. You can find any other really language you want whatever you're using, they have a lot, and you can add this in. So if I go ahead and just scroll down here, I'm just going to copy this part here. So the checkout's already there. We're just going to grab the setup Python at v4. So this has 3.9. You can change this, obviously, if you're using something different. Pip is cache, and then we're going to run pip install -r requirements. So let's jump on back. So just comparing this with, let's make sure we have all of our tabbing correct, right? Okay, so just looking at this real quick, so we do have a uses here, actions checkout v3. We have another uses actions setup Python v4 with some added attributes here, and then we have this run. So this is like a separate step, and so here this isn't doing the uses. We're actually just running a command against the agent, which in this case is pip install -r requirements, just like we saw in our Docker file. So pretty straightforward here. Just wanted to show you the breakout here is now we use -run instead of uses when we want to run our own command against the command line. All right, so we're going to do kind of a similar thing here in a new step that we're actually going to name this step, and we're going to just call this docker build and run. Whoops. And here we are going to run, and we can do a pipe to designate multiple commands. So docker build in this directory, so the Docker file, and then tag it. And for me, my repository is Scotty Full Stack. You're going to want to change it to yours. So Scotty Full Stack, and this is Falcon Look app or something. I mean, at this point, it's brand new. So as long as you're not doing one that you already have in your Docker repository, all should be fine here. So go ahead and create a new one. Docker run -dit -p 8000 to 8000, and we can go ahead and do that look app. Okay, so we're kicking off the build and then the run of that image inside of the GitHub Actions agent, and why we're doing that locally there is so that we can test our code against it. Now that the image is up and running, we're going to go ahead and test the code. So we can do another name, and here we can just call this like test code or something, right? Whatever you want that to be. And we're going to do another run. And so here we had, if you remember correctly, in our virtual environment, we had installed coverage to do the pip3 freeze. And obviously with the install requirements, that's being installed on this agent. So let's go ahead and use coverage and then run -m, whoops, pytest. Okay, and so if this test fails, tests, by the way, the directory, if this test fails, it's going to stop the job and we won't be able to merge this branch into main. Okay, and then another step for generate the report or something like that. Here, run, we're going to do coverage again. And this time we're going to just do coverage report, and we're going to pipe that to like coverage-report, some file called coverage report. And this time what I want to do is, so if that test fails in the previous step, it's going to just stop the job. So we want this one to run anyway, even if the previous step fails, because we want to upload a failed report as well. So let's go ahead and do a condition here, and I'll link the documentation to conditions in the description. And what this is going to do is just say, like, if anything else happens, pretty much, keep going. So $, this is included in GitHub Actions, by the way. So I'm going to do an always here, right? And that could be failure. And there, you can look through the conditions. That could be a number of things, and in this case, it's always run this no matter what happens in the run. So I'm going to call always, so this always uploads or generates a report. Now let's create a new step called scan the image. So here, this is a vulnerability scan, and this is from Anchor, which was made from the Ansible creators, and there's actually a GitHub action for this. So if I come back here, I have Anchor pulled up, linking this to the description as well. And I'm just going to look for specifically what I want. Let's see here. So let's go ahead and grab this scan image. I'll go ahead and replace my name. I know I typed it out here, but let's just go ahead and paste that in there. Tab. Okay, so uses Anchor scan action at v3, and this, by the way, is an official Anchor action. So nothing fishy going on here. With image, and let's go ahead and add our image. And this is Falcon look app, right? Okay, so we're going to scan our image for vulnerabilities against the Anchor database. And then we're going to go ahead and generate a report. So let's go on back to the Anchor action. And here we're looking for the generation of the report. Right, let's inspect. Right here, upload Anchor scan serif report. So let's copy that and paste it. Looks like my tabbing got thrown off there again, so let's go ahead and back it up. Okay, so this is included here, steps.scan output. So we do have to reference this scan. That's something we are missing. So let's go ahead and enter here and just add an ID of scan. So that way we know what we're referencing. So we're going to reference that report and then generate it. So that'll be generated. Now we're going to get to the uploading of artifacts. So we want to upload two artifacts. One is our vulnerability scan report, and then the second is our pytest coverage report. So let's go ahead and do a step for each of those. Now, to upload these artifacts, we already have a GitHub action for that, and it's the upload artifact action. So we can go ahead and grab like something like this, which is v3 here. Come on back and paste that. So we're going to obviously go back with the uses, the artifact v3, and then with. Now we want to name our artifact. So in this case, why don't we go ahead and just name this like vuln report or something. And then the path to that report is going to be results dot serif from the security vulnerability scan. And we're going to do the exact same thing. So just copy that, paste it, fix our tabbing. And for this one, we want to upload the coverage report. So coverage report, and the path is just, because it's being generated in the home directory here, is just coverage report, because we named that back here, right? So we're uploading those two artifacts, the test results and the vulnerability scan. And at this point, if all of these things are succeeded, we want to log into dockerhub and we want to upload our image. So for that, we can go back to the Docker action. It's the official Docker action, and we can kind of scroll down here and we will see that they have a Docker login action. If I can find it. So here. And they require a dockerhub username and a dockerhub token. So let's go ahead and grab that. And they kind of did their spacing differently here with their dashes. So let's go ahead and just make that what we need it to be. So paste. So I'm going to do a dash space and then bring all of this back a little bit. And that included. Okay, so name login to dockerhub, login action v2, and then with secrets.dockerhub username and secrets.dockerhub token. So we need to add these to our repository. So let's jump on back, go over to your repo. Let's open up the settings on the repository and do a secrets actions and new repository secret. And so let's start off with the dockerhub username. So dockerhub underscore username, and mine happens to be Scotty Full Stack. You're going to want to put yours here, right? And let's add another one. Dockerhub underscore token. Whoops, I just tried to save it. Don't know what I'm doing. And then let's go ahead and go back to our Docker repository. Let's go to our settings, and then security, add a new access token, and let's just like call this GitHub Actions for Falcon or something. And I'm going to delete this later. For goodness sake, remind me. And let's go back to our repository. Sorry, I'm kind of like not thinking this through. Okay, so we have our two secrets here, and we have included that in our workflow. So this is going to reference those. They're going to pull it in. That's what the secrets is referencing, is those secrets pulled into our project. So we're logging into dockerhub, and then I want to go ahead and push that image to my repository. So let's go on back to the official Docker documentation for build and push. Same kind of thing with the tabbing here. Not consistent with what we've done. So let me just paste it here. Dash space, bring this one back, and then all of them back. Cool. So true, and we want to do Scotty full stack. And then we can do Falcon look app. Latest is fine. Actually, funny story, I just recently was interacting with someone on Slack, and I broke the image for a tutorial that I'd done 2 years ago, and this came up. So we're going to do everything latest now for new pushes, so shouldn't break anything for you. Okay, so this so far has assumed that everything is fine for the most part in the process. So let's go ahead and generate the failure condition here to create an image to create an issue if all of this fails. Okay, so let's say that this fails. We want to kind of create an issue so we can address it, and then we can resubmit the code and merge it. So let's do a dash name, and this one can be like create. We can call this create issue on failure. And we want to do an if condition here because we don't want an issue created if it's successful, right? So we can do if, and then a $, bracket, failure, right? So we're calling failure. And then we want to do run and a multi-line here. So here we want to include a GitHub CLI command just to make this easier for ourselves. GH issue create -- title. We can like call this, and we're going to reference some context from GitHub Actions. Context link is linked in the description, so please check that out as well. So let's go ahead and add job, or let's do failure on workflow, and then we can name or reference the workflow. So this has a specific variable for this. So let's do a $, bracket, and then a github.workflow. So it's going to reference a context variable that's already preset for us in this action, which is super handy. And again, a list of those are in the documentation supplied in the description. And then still inside of these quotes, we can say the GitHub SHA, which is this kind of the unique identifier here for this run. So we can do a $, bracket, and close them, and do a github.sha. Okay, so that's our title of our issue that is created. Now let's go ahead and do the body, so -- body. And here we can just do failure on job. Let's wrap this, and then another variable, right, another context variable, github.job. And that is all we really need here. You could add more or less depending on what you're looking for in this, but for this tutorial we'll end it there. And then we want to add a env. I don't know why I did the multi-line there, but
either way, it'll work. So then env. So this is how we add an environment variable to a specific step. We don't have to add it to the entire thing. This wouldn't be accessible in this case to every other step in this workflow, but this will be available here. So let's go ahead and add one for GitHub underscore token. And the reason I'm adding this is just so the GitHub CLI doesn't need to authenticate any other way than this. So as long as this environment variable is set, we should be good. So let's go ahead and do that from a $ bracket and then secrets dot GitHub underscore token. And that is an already supplied secret. We didn't add that in our repository. That's there, and you can reference it here and just set it to GitHub token on the step. Okay, so that is all we need. I think we're good to go. Let's make one change to our code real quick in images.py so that we can make this fail initially. So let's go ahead and like remove just in the route here the S from images. And let's go ahead and add all this in. So let's just first make sure that we are still on our development branch, because I know I kind of threw that in there late. So we're on develop branch. I'm gonna git add, git commit, message can be Falcon app, something like it, right? Git push origin develop. All right, so that is up, and let's head on back. There's going to be a couple configuration items here in the repository we're going to want to set, but let's just quickly get this started so we have some parameters to set here. So let's go to pull request, since we had set this to be on pull request. Let's go ahead and open it. So develop to main in my case, might be master for you. All right, so that's created, and we should start to see some tests running here in our actions. Did it already fail? Why did it fail? Shouldn't have been that fast. I have an error on line 7. Okay. What is that? Line 7. Runs on. What did I do? Name on, jobs, build, runs on. Ubuntu latest. Jobs, build. Oh. So you know when I said we were doing YAML and we had to make sure our tabbing was correct? I meant that. I did. Let's go ahead and tab the whole thing forward. All right. Now that I've got that straight, let's go ahead and git add, git commit, git push. Wait, what? Nothing to commit. I just tabbed the whole thing. Where am I? Git add, git commit, git. There we go. Push, develop. Oh, we're making it. We're getting there. All right. Now we should see that flow run again. There it goes. All right, so we already know this is going to fail because we purposely failed the test. I'm going to come back to this in just a minute. We'll watch the whole flow go through again in a minute, but let's jump over to our settings real quick in the repository, and let's set up some feature stuff on the feature stuff. Let's set up some branch rules to protect our branch, right? So we want to protect main, and I want to require a pull request before merging. I'm not going to require approvals here. You would want to do this professionally. I'm one person, you're one person. We're just going to be overriding approvals. Let's uncheck that box for now. You're going to want to do that again in a professional environment. Have approvals, for goodness sake. We can dismiss stale pull requests, review. We're not going to review right now. You could do a code owner's file. Might do that in another tutorial. That's fine. Restrict who can dismiss pull request reviews. I don't really care at this point. Allow specified actors to bypass. We might want that. Oh, we can actually do it through the admin way. Require status checks to pass before merging. Yes, and I want to. We're going to add this here in just a moment. This will populate soon. And then I think everything else here is fine. That should be okay. let's create that rule. I got to add my code. If you don't have code set up, you probably should. Security. There it is. Auth. Okay. All right. So we've saved that rule. Let's just check on our action. I need this to fail already. So it did fail. It did fail in the right place, and it did. Yep. So it failed on the test case, right? It still generated the report. Did I not upload? Okay. So a couple things here. Let's just quickly add the always to the upload for the test report, because that's probably the most important on a failure. So let's do this on the artifact coverage report. If, and then $, bracket, always. Okay. Let's add it, commit it. Okay. Push it. Okay. Cool. And create issue on failure ran. Everything else is fine here. So let's check on the issues. And here we go. We have our issue created. We failed on the job build for the Falcon CI workflow. I'm going to go ahead and close this out because we will end up fixing this. So that's closed. Let's check our settings again and see if our branch now allows us to set that rule now that it's run. And it did. So let's set this to the build step, or the build job, right? And so we're going to require that one to pass before we're allowed to merge. So we were to go back to pull request now, go to my pull request. I cannot merge this without an override at this point because we're waiting on our tests to fully pass. So while this is finishing on this final failure, hopefully, just wanted to say thank you for watching. And please like and subscribe. It really takes this a lot further, and I would love for this video to reach someone who really needs it. We've had so many people in the Slack channel just super encouraging and looking for work, and people who have gained employment, and so we want more of that. We want more people to be able to experience this, and of course I want my channel to grow, so I think it benefits everyone. Just smash those buttons and we will get back to the code now, but I appreciate you being here and watching. Okay, so so the test did fail. So let's jump on back. So there was that. Now let's check on the artifacts, right? So if we jump back to a summary of the action, right? It failed, so we didn't upload the vulnerability report. We just uploaded the test, and it would make sense to upload the vulnerability report too. You can add that next. Just do the if always on the vulnerability report upload. But here we have our coverage report. You can download that. You can open it, you can check it, and there's our coverage, right? So we didn't fail by much. We just failed in that one situation, right? So should be good for the most part. In this case, it's not a bad score. So we opened up a new issue. Let's go ahead and just say, we fixed it because we're about to. Wouldn't do that in real life. Fix it first. Let's go back. Let's fix that. Add the S back to images, and then add that and commit, git, push, develop. Okay, and since our pull request is still open, it's just going to run the job again against those changes. And let's go ahead and just click on it and watch it run, I guess, since we know it's going to, well, hopefully it's going to pass, right? Never say I know anything anymore. Setting up job, I'm going to refresh. Okay. So as you can see, it's just running through each thing. It's downloading the actions that we need. Here it goes. It's running the requirements, in which our cache didn't work for some reason. Yeah, interesting. Well, I'll revisit that later. Docker build and run. So it's building the image now. All right, it's testing the code. We had 100% pass. You can see it in the logs here. We generated the report. We're scanning the image for vulnerabilities now. It's failing on anything that's over a medium or above. So we're uploading that report as a artifact. Sorry, we're getting the report generated to upload. Now we're doing the uploads, log into Docker, and now we're pushing our image to dockerhub. Again, with those credentials we had. And show me the money. We're almost there. Feel like red leader sometimes. Almost there. Almost there. You get like shot down every time. Okay. So we skipped the create issue on failure, obviously. And we pushed. We shut everything down at the end. Let's head over to Docker. And I already forgot about my token. Check back later. Head over to dockerhub and refresh. And we have Falcon Lookup in the repository. So that pretty much concludes this tutorial. I hope that you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun making this one and learned a couple things along the way as well. It was super cool. And I look forward to doing more stuff like this. And if you enjoyed this video, like it and let me know in the comments that you enjoyed it. That way I know that I should make more content like this if this is geared to what you're wanting to learn. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'm so thankful for each one of you. So have a great day, and I hope that you have a great time learning. Talk to you later.